Hi everybody. Well, a lady called Serena in one of my groups has mentioned my wax seals and how neat they look, but I'll show you how I do them. I've got to make some more for my project. I'm just going to straighten up this. I hope that's okay, and I hope you can still see all right. As I say, I've got a privacy screen on my phone, so it's difficult to see what you're seeing. Okay, so as I say, I was getting into like a little system, excuse me, yesterday of making my seals. I'll just show you how I make them. I've got my little set from eBay, but you can probably get them on Amazon or anywhere like that. And this is the one I'm using, little ladle. I do recommend that you have some wet wipes with you because it just helps to, or a dampened cloth or something, it just helps to take the wax off your ladle spoon and you can clean out your wax from it at the end. So just waiting for it to sort of warm up a little bit. I've got my wax, pieces of wax, so I put them in there, the ones I want. There's two at the moment, and I've also got these little offcuts which I'll show you, so you don't have to waste anything because you can melt those. So I'll put a few of those in. So it just takes a little while for it to melt down. I also have a glass jar, small flat round glass jar, and a toothpick to mix the wax. And to heat it up, I'm just using a tea light underneath. You can, as I say, get these wax seals as well. They just unscrew, so you can get different types of seal to go on your handle. They're all different types anyway. This is the one that I'm using. As it's melting down, I just need to add a little bit more wax. So just adding those pieces in. Now, I don't know if anyone else who uses wax seals has noticed this, but with the latest lot, they seem to be a bit, what would you call it? Bendy, not really bendier, but flexible, I suppose is the word. Because I know you can also make seals with hot glue. So I don't know. I'm wondering, do they mix some sort of hot glue in with them now? I'm not sure, but anyway, maybe it is just wax. But if you see it go over the edge, you can just pop it back in with your cocktail stick. I'm just going to add a few more pieces of my cut-offs. Now, with the ones I have got three that are pretty much, you know, they've got the stuff around the edge because I wanted them like that. And then, as I say, there are these where I've cut around them. So it's just waiting for it to melt, really. And I don't tend to, I do my videos sort of in real time. So a tip is you can either press, I think it's 10 seconds ahead. There's right and left, you can go forward or back 10 seconds. Or if you place your finger, my daughter told me this, if you place your finger on the right side of the screen, it just speeds everything up ×2. So you can do that as well. So I've got a little bit that hasn't melted, if you can see this, but I'm just mixing it in. So it's melting as I'm mixing as well. Like that. And then just clean off the cocktail stick. Now I'm making mine on like greaseproof paper or baking paper. And then just pour like that while it's still quite hot. I'll say as well, I found that the wooden handled ones are better. You can get metal handled ones, of course they get hot, which doesn't help. And then just place your seal in the middle like that. Just check so you get a little drip on the side of the ladle, so just a wet wipe wipes it off, and then put it back on the heat. And then I'll put my other little bits in here to let them melt down. As I say, it's great because you have very little wastage then. And another one of those, and it's a slightly deeper wine colour. Put that in. So hopefully you can see that my seal here is just cooling down. Sometimes when I pick them off, they're still like chewing gum, but you know, that cools down and it's not an issue anyway. As I say, you can cut those pieces off. So let me just have a look, because of course I'm very impatient. There we are. That's the seal, or the wax on the seal. And then just pull it off like that. Now, excuse me, as I say, you could leave it like that because that is like a seal. And then what I tend to do is I glue them onto something, and I tend to use this. It's like E6000, whichever way up you can see it. They're all similar glues, but so I can show Selena what I do here, just get my scissors, and then where the circle part is, just cut round like this. Again, I hope you are seeing this okay. And it's very sort of flexible. I just remember other wax before when I've used it, it's not brittle, but it's sort of firmer. I don't know anyway. So then with these pieces, I just chop them up into smaller pieces that I can reuse. As I say, you don't need to throw this away and waste it. You can reuse that. Okay, now let me just have a look at this here. Sometimes you'll get a little bit of smoke coming up, but I think this is more because it's an older ladle and it's got quite a lot of carbon on it anyway. Just wipe that off. Just get another one going. So I was in a good little routine yesterday. Pop that there. Now that's a bit more elongated, so I'm going to squidge it a bit. Hopefully it will get the whole one on. I think there's a little edge there, but that's fine, I can cut that. So as I say, you can neaten them up like that, and then I've got one of these lighters. You can either leave it like that, or if you're very careful, you can just, it sort of just melts it down a little bit. You can just melt the edge again, but please mind your fingers because it could get hot. See, so I just do that. So you have the option to do that as well if you want. And then because of the little drip, I just wipe that there, pop it back on my burner, add in the little pieces like that so they can melt down again. And a couple of new nuggets as well. So as I say, that's how I make my wax seals for this particular project I'm doing. So I hope it helps, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.